What's going on, team? Welcome to an episode of the Keep Going Podcast, Season 2. This is your co-host, Luke Wheat, coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee. Before the show starts, make sure to follow us on our socials, okay? Twitter, the Keep Going Pod, Insta, the KG Podcast, and YouTube at the KG Pod. Just a reminder that we are not psychiatrists and not psychologists, just a couple ex-athletes trying to make a difference and end the stigma of mental health. Thank you guys for listening, and let's get to the show.
That keep going moment.
My keep going moment.
That's my keep going moment.
Let's keep going.
Welcome, team, to episode 56 of the Keep Going Podcast, Athletes Shining a Light on Mental Health. This is your co-host, Luke Wheat, coming out of Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm joined here by two bad guys with me. I got Pat O'Malley coming out of an Annie Ann's, Pat.
Oh, baby, I'm out here in the middle of upstate New York at an Annie Ann's Pretzels truck stop. If you want to get juiced up today, it's going to be right here at this Annie Ann. So stay with me for a little bit. Mo, where you at?
I'm in Chicago, my place in Chicago, and I'm going to Uber Eats Annie Ann's when we get off of this. So it's going to be great.
Looks like a trip to the malls in my future.
I'm about to say, Luke, I got a quick tip. I actually once, 3 years ago, catered my Super Bowl party when I lived in Kenosha with Annie Ann's Pretzels. It was a huge hit. If you're looking for a Super Bowl smash, that's it, guys. So just want to give you that quick tip. But in all seriousness, super excited to have Jason Moe on today. Luke, super excited to see your beautiful haircut on my screen. Shameless plug for the YouTube. If you're not watching on YouTube, make sure you do that because Luke is a handsome man. Luke, how's everything out by you, bro?
You're too kind. You're too kind always. No, it's been an adjustment. We're in midterms right now. Got the haircut last week. And kids didn't learn anything for about 2 days. I think that's all we talked about for about 2 days. Is the length of my hair. But it's kind of a big decision. You know, it's 12 inches. Cut it off, and we got a little slick back look going now. And I kind of like it. But it was time to, for me, it was a way to mature a little bit, be a little bit more professional, take myself a little bit more serious. So that was kind of the thought behind it.
Yeah,
You look good, brother. You look good.
Thank you, Mo.
I was going to say, maybe me and Mo will cut ours at some point. Who knows?
I'm thinking about it after the new year. I did. There is a thought in my head, at least a trim and see what happens. We're going to maybe try that. So.
I like that. It's all about the man doesn't change, but the look can change at times.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, I want to do this, Luke. Obviously, it's episode 56. Heard through the grapevine, you might have a 56 down the wagon. What do you got, bro?
Oh, got a nice 56. This is a little NFL throwback. I know me and Mo were talking about it a little bit. NFL can take over your Sundays when you have a nice lazy Sunday. Lawrence Taylor for the New York Giants. Hard hitting son of a gun. And I thought that was perfect for the guy we had on today. Just somebody that hits hard.
I love it. And for you young bucks out there that don't know who Lawrence Taylor is, he's the dude in what is it? Is it Blindside?
Any Given Sunday.
Any Given Sunday.
Where does he have the cameo where he breaks Joe Theismann's leg, though? What movie is that?
I don't remember that one.
Oh, is that Gridiron Gang? No.
He has a cameo in all.
Yeah.
But for the young folks that might have seen that flick, that's how you kind of know who Lawrence Taylor is. But awesome. Hidden Dipper today for sure. Mo, do you have a 56 in mind?
I would have to go the Mark Burley from the White Sox, one of my favorite White Sox players of all time. So I would have to go Mark Burley.
We gotta cut it. We don't shout out White Sox players on here.
Oh, we have to already cut the pod off at 30 seconds because of the Mark Burley mention. No, I got to shout out Mark Burley, though, because he does have one of the craziest stories. He had a no-hitter and a perfect game, correct?
Yep. Yes, he did. Yep.
The one call where what a catch by Wise when he goes over the wall, iconic.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was always the type of guy, too, that had, like, fun on the field and always kind of made, people relax a little bit more. But he was a stud. He always tried, you know what I mean? He obviously got a perfect game and a no-hitter. I mean, I loved him. He's probably top 3, top 1 of my favorite baseball players. So
incredible. Yeah, Mark Burley always wanted the ball, man. There's a lot to be said about that guy and how he competes. Love it. We're already getting rolling. I want to keep it rolling that way. So, like I mentioned, we got my guy Jason Moe in the building today. Mo, something that we do, we touch on mental health. That is the premise of our podcast. Tell our listeners, tell our audience that might not know you, some things that When things are going well, what are you doing in your daily routine that make you feel good, keep your mental health in the right realm?
I think when things are going well in my life, it's, I'm a big, like I have to work out in the mornings and things like that. So I think that kind of gets my day going. So if I feel good, I'm eating healthy, working out, work's going good, try to keep the stress levels as low as possible for me.
Nice.
I'm very hard on myself. That's one thing that is, I always, people ask you what your weaknesses are. That's probably one of mine is I'm very hard. So every morning I have to like get up and go, what am I going to do today? Be positive. What things can I do? What steps can I have to make everything, go well? So my stress levels are down and stay positive through the day because through my life, I do MMA. I've done grappling tournaments. I played sports when I growing up. It was always pressure, pressure, pressure. And even at work, I'm a salesman, so I'm off commission. So it's always like pressure through my day. So you just try to find ways to kind of go take a step back. Everything's going to be okay. There's been some really bad days and there's been some great days. You just got to keep moving forward, keep going and go, all right, I got to be better than yesterday. That was always kind of my key is try to be better than yesterday, being nice to people or whatever that is.
Yeah. The 1% better that we touch on all the time. Me and Pat are always talking about it. We repost stuff like that on social media all the time, sending in accountability partners. You don't have to be 100% better every day, just 1%, and you'll see insane growth throughout the year.
Completely agree. And I think you'll find with top performers, I love the segue. You'll find with top performers that they don't have their A game all the time. It's about how they give what they have that day and do the best what they have. I think that's powerful stuff. Expand on that a little bit. Obviously, being in the sales role, do you find yourself kind of purposely getting out of your comfort zone most of the time?
Yeah, a little bit. I love talking. Obviously, I'm talking. I love being a salesman. I love getting in front of customers, doing presentations, things like that. There is, sometimes in my side, I do stuff with cranes. So those big cranes you see, like on the road and stuff like that. I don't know everything about them. So when they start talking like mechanical and maintenance, you know what I mean? I kind of like, oh, I'm starting to wing it a little bit, but I go, I can make enough sense to kind of go further on that. But yeah, you start getting out of your comfort zone a little bit and you're like, am I saying the right things right now? But yeah, I think every day a little bit, I'm always probably out of my comfort zone a little bit, but I love the challenge. I think my whole life has been a challenge. So it's okay for me because it's like, let's see if I can, pass this challenge and go on to the next step. So
I love that, man. So far, so good. And definitely the challenges of everyday life and putting yourself in those positions to keep succeeding. And when you do fail, get back up and double down somewhere else.
Yeah. And there's a lot of fail, even work and, like, I've done MMA and like a grappling, like I said, I have a lot of losses under my belt. I do, I'm 4-1 in MMA, it was amateur MMA, and I've had over 35 matches in grappling. There's losses, trust me. And those losses are very effective, they hurt the next day, and things like that. So, so there's always something you have to kind of bounce back and bring yourself back every day, definitely for me.
No doubt. Luke, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, this is something I actually want to touch on. I'm glad we're already here. You mentioned there's losses under the belt and there's a lot of recovery that comes along, especially in a sport like amateur MMA and grappling. What do you do to keep your mind right after a loss whenever your body's beat up and you're recovering? What was kind of the thought process there?
That is the hardest. Like I was saying earlier, I'm hard on myself. I wake up, my girlfriend, Lindsay, she, in 2022, I lost 2 matches in a row. And I remember we went out, we had a couple of drinks. I got to her place and I was bawling. You know what I mean? It was because I thought it was over. Like I go, I'm over 40 now at that time. I'm still over 40. It's like I'm getting younger, but it was just emotions. I go, I think I'm done. Like I got whooped. I mean, it wasn't, I went in there and, I thought I trained hard, but I found out some things like the guy I was like wrestling first in my match was a really good wrestler. Well, I didn't train wrestling that much as I used to because of injuries and things like that. So right there, I'm walking to a match. I never had this happen. I go, I'm already defeated, and me, like, just as I get on that mat, I don't care who's in front of me or anything. And I think that moment right there when I got home and just bawled and like, I got everything out. I woke up the next day thinking it was over. It wasn't, but at that time, and I think every loss is, you start doubting yourself. Can I still do this? What do I have to do to train harder? And trust me, it wakes me up a little bit. And it's always nice to have that because I do train harder, but it's a battle. You give yourself excuses. Oh, maybe I was injured a little bit. I don't ever say them out loud. I'll never do that. That's just not my style. But in my head, I know the reasons probably why I lost. And it's mostly, I don't think I lose in a mat because of my talent. It's all up here. Was I good that day? Or is this guy better than me? What if I do this? So it's a challenge every single day when you lose after a loss, because you don't get back on the mat for maybe 3 to 4 months, 5 months. So you have to live with that. I mean, for myself, you have to live with that every single day. I still think about my losses today more than my wins. And I have many wins. I've got a lot of first places. The losses eat at me more than the wins. That's just me. And that's a battle that I've had to deal with my whole life.
That was interesting, just because the one-on-one aspect of combat sports, right? It's you against the world. So that was interesting to me. I'm glad you touched on that. Pat, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is exactly, we're on the same wavelength today, apparently. In fighting, it's like, I would argue, the most grueling physical and mental sport when it comes to that sense, right? Because not only do you have to sit there and go, wow, my career might be over. Every fight is week to week, month to month, whatever it may be. But then also having everything else involved with it, like physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, there's a lot invested in this. And it's like every time you get in the octagon, every time you get in the cage, you're fighting for your career. It's truly a big thing. And I love that perspective. Stay there, though. I know Caleb Williams, quarterback for USC, got a lot of crap in the media a couple months ago after they lost. He was in the stands with his family, bawling his eyes out. I felt the exact opposite. I felt like the vulnerability and the accountability in that moment was so strong. Mo, I love to hear that you're in that same realm. You let it all go, man. Talk about that. Talk about being vulnerable in a sport where you can't really show it.
Yeah. So, when, I have my training partners, I have my coaches, I have my girlfriend, and I have my friends. But, when I'm, in everyday life, my friends don't see the vulnerable side of me because I don't show that. They think, that's a tough guy or he's Mo, whatever that is, so you're kind of alone in your own thoughts every day, or even when you get home or whatever. So I think what happens is, especially, if you lose a fight now with Instagram and Facebook, and I do it to myself because I post things, you don't ever want one of the biggest things is letting people down, even though I probably don't, but in my head, I feel I am. So every time I'm going out there, it's like, oh man, I've got 25 people saying good luck today. If I lose and they ask me, I have to tell them I lost today. That is the hardest part of what I do. I'm not afraid of anybody. If you put me in front of anyone, let's go. I'm okay with it. It's when I get off the mat and the loss and you see 25 fans. And when I did my first MMA, I had 800 fans in the stands, so you never want to let anybody down. And that's me. And I never want to. So I think when he was crying, he let all his emotion out. I do it after wins. I remember in 2020, in 2022, after I won a gold, I won first place. I bawled in the parking lot with it for a good emotion. So these are things I don't talk about. Only a few people know about it, but I'm a very emotional guy, but no one knows. No one knows that about me except for maybe a handful of people. And, so that's the difference, with losing, winning, but it's everything. I put everything I can out there, and people will be like, well, that's, a hobby, or no, it's not a hobby to me. I want to win, I want to be better than that person today.
Man, that's strong. Luke, go ahead. Man, that's powerful stuff. I'm loving it, man. Go ahead, Luke.
No, absolutely. And I think the emotion for Caleb Williams and for yourself comes from trying as hard as you can, putting as much of the team on your back as you can for Caleb Williams. And then for you, you're going for yourself and for all those people that are behind you. I mean, you've trained for how long for this? What's it usually take to train for a match,
Yeah, normally I always try to do 8 to 12 weeks. And then you have to cut weight. and things like that. And then I tried not drinking for about 4 to 6 weeks. When I first started MMA, it was 12 weeks of no drinking, but as I kind of went down to 6, 8, 6. Now it's 4. I always give myself about 30 days with no drinking and stuff like that. But I always tell people 8 to 12 weeks. I really try to. 12 is a nice, perfect one because I fight weight sometimes a little bit. I love to eat. I love to lift. I get, bulky a little bit. So I have to cut weight because I do MMA. I do 185 and I do 189 when I do grappling tournaments. I walk around about 220. So I have to cut all that weight as well. So yeah. Yeah. It's always fun. I always have to cut about 30 pounds in 30 days. That's a challenge in itself. That's a whole other podcast. Whoever do that, that's a lot of fun there.
Absolutely. Pat, you got him?
Yep, I got you, Luke. You guys got me?
Yeah, there. Go ahead.
Yep, the reason I jumped off, I had a little bit of static there. But here's what I was going to touch on to kind of parlay off that. So we touched on the wins. We touched on the losses. We touched on the process. Talk about the things that not a lot of fighters touch on. And you go as far as this as you want to. Talk about the daily stuff. What are you doing to get prepared for these fights, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, everything?
So there was 2, because I always say there's my first part. I did MMA from 2010 to 2012. I mean, I've always trained MMA, but those were my 5 fights in that realm. And then 2016 to 2022, it was a grappling. And grappling, if anyone knows, it's wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and judo. There's no punching and stuff, but MMA is everything. So when I first started MMA, it was get up in the morning at 5 a.m., run in the morning. I'd go to work. That at lunchtime, I would go and swim or lift at LA Fitness in Tinley Park. And
Shout
then
out
at
LA
night,
Fitness.
Yeah. And then I would train my spar, boxing, jiu-jitsu, wrestling at night. So it was 3 times because I walked to the gym January 2010 at LA Boxing in Orland Park. That was when I started. I fought with this team called Team Immortal. And when I walked in there, I only knew a few people that kind of, oh yeah, try this. And they whooped me. I mean, it was a humbling experience. And I think what they were trying to do is if you got whooped and came back the next day, we knew you were, probably going to be here for a little bit. I came back the next day, but walking through that door was the best thing of my life because I was in a path where I didn't know where I was going. I was down. I was drinking way too much. I was unhappy with my life. So when I walked in that day, it changed me. And then I fought September 15th, 2010. That was my first MMA fight. So I got 6 months of training and it was 3 days a week. I had a nutritionist, everything. It was like a day to day. And what happened was too, is I made sure my work day, I still kicked butt that day because I never wanted anyone to say I wasn't working hard. So it made me even work harder in life with my job as well, because I wanted to be better at that, I wanted to be better at everything. I finally found something in my life. I was pushing forward to do something again. I felt like I was making something of my life again. And then on the grappling side, on the grappling side, I didn't have to train as hard, but I would get up in the morning, lift. I started something for myself. I know it was already out there. Work out at 4 a.m. I would lift, do cardio, and then I would train at night at Notre Dame Wrestling Academy. So it was like 2 times a day when I do grappling. When I did MMA, it was 3 times a day, so that's the difference a little bit.
You can wholeheartely say, and this is exactly where I wanted you to go. You can wholeheartedly say that this career change for you as a fighter, it dominoed the rest of your life.
Oh, yeah.
In a positive light.
Oh, yeah. It would. I'll be honest with you guys right now. I don't know what my life would have been. I was pretty much miserable in my 20s. When I walked through that door, it was a game changer. I was, I was bar fighting. I was mean to people. My work ethic was awful. And it changed me to who I became today. I'm more positive. I don't, it was a whirlwind of a change. So without walking through those doors and having MMA and having grappling in my life, I wouldn't know what would I be right now or, where I would be, so.
Yeah. Luke, I want to kick it over. Luke, I want to kick it over to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's something we talk about with our high school kids all the time too. You know, you don't have to do a million things, right? A lot of our kids want to be involved in 5 or 6 different sports. They want to be involved in clubs, all these different clubs. You just got to find something you're passionate about that keeps you level headed throughout the day. And I think that's something you found in MMA and grappling, man. And I think that's amazing.
Yeah. No, it's been a positive. That's why I still want to do it today, because even like we were talking beforehand, the last year, I mean, I haven't done a grappling tournament since June of 2022. You could tell my life, it's a little bit more stressful a little bit. And I need to bring that back a little bit to kind of give, I don't want to say maybe it's a little therapy for me is get back. And I love training with my friends and the stories and all that. It's like, I miss it, and I think I need that a little bit back. Not even if I ever, do another tournament again, just being with those guys, I think helps a little bit through the day.
Yeah. And there's that team aspect within the training part of it.
Yeah.
You're fighting by yourself, but you are within a camp and within a team whenever you're training. So that's a huge part. Pat, what do you got, buddy?
Yeah, man, this. I'm loving it from afar. I'm kind of getting caught. This is one of the only podcasts I've ever said this on. I'm getting caught listening a little bit because I'm loving every step of this and just the multiple layers it has. Here's what I'll say though. In Mo's story, and I'm going to speak more to our listeners here today, guys and girls that are student athletes working 9 to 5s, anyone that listens to this podcast, listen to what Mo just highlighted. He said in his 20s, I'm going to be very blunt, it wasn't going well. It was not going well. He wasn't happy. The vices were taking over, and he didn't stop showing up and eventually found something that really domino affected the rest of his life and started to repair scars and really start to get him in a situation now where he looks back on it and goes, wow, this is when it all changed. So for our athletes that are struggling right now, you're one door away. You're one activity, one spark, one this was the day at 20. That's powerful for our listeners that maybe the door is going to open, but they keep showing up.
No, 100%. That's what I'm trying to harp on with these kids today, and what I'm telling a lot of our student athletes is, if a sport's not for you, that's okay. Find the next one, right?
Yeah.
You got to just be to trying things that make you uncomfortable so that you're ready for the next step in life. And you're not going to find the right thing for you unless you're uncomfortable. I think Mo found that out.
Yeah, I mean, I played football and baseball my whole life since I was in probably first grade till senior year of high school. After that, I was done, so I went, I started working for my company. I've been with my company now for going on 26 years. So I started at 17. So I worked full time. Then I went to college. I was kind of lost. All my friends went away. Sports were over. That's the difference. I go, who would have thought, myself would be, all right, I'm going to go do MMA. I mean, I started that up at 28, 29. So it took me 10 years to start the second chapter of my life, or third, whatever you want to call it. But it changed me completely. So for 10 years, I had no clue what I was going to do next, And like I said, it's been the greatest thing of my life. And it's just, I never thought I would ever do that. So that's why if you tell like the younger people that are listening, just keep fighting, just keep, figure out something else that you want to do and stay positive and keep fighting the good fight. It's nothing's over until it's really over. But I use that for myself and I go, it's never over. You just keep going, so.
I love it, man. He comes down here dropping the keep going early on. I love it, brother. I love it. Yeah. This is what I'll say too. And we're all kind of pounding this point in with the keep going mantra. Society kind of plays it this way, right? We're like 25, you have to be married, kids, have this job, have this side hustle. And then you look around and you're like, no, it's your race. It's your timeline. It's what you're looking to do is what matters, not what other people are trying to set that expectation of. And I think that's loud and clear here. And I think it's big for our listeners. Before I move on here, Luke, I want to touch on this a little bit with you. You know, with your college experience, I think it was very similar, right? Like playing soccer, not knowing when your opportunity was going to be. Touch on that a little bit, kind of compared to most.
100%. I think for me, I knew I had a job to do every day, whether I was going to be the starter on Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. It didn't really matter. I was going out there to work as hard as I could, day in and day out. Now, with that, it did not come easy. I was not getting, I was not seeing the fruits of my labor. Right, I was working as hard as I could Monday through Friday, and then sitting the bench for 90 minutes on Saturday. I knew I was making an impact on the team because I was pushing the other goalkeeper that was the starter at the time to be better. But that doesn't necessarily make it feel better, right? In the moment. Now that I look back on it, I'm glad that I did it. But in the moment, I definitely had some selfish thoughts of why am I not the guy right now, blah, blah, blah. And then, I had a couple different vices like alcohol and different things like that where I had some buddies from high school pass away that really put me in a different place. And I kind of used soccer to get away from that, and then used alcohol to get away from it from a little bit. So I can understand Mo's point there. And, me being on kind of where you were whenever you found grappling and you found MMA at 27, 28. Now I'm trying to look for, what can I dive into now to make a more positive experience every single day and learn what to work hard for. So I can totally understand those points, Mo, for sure.
Weed, that's what I wanted. And Weed, I wanted to drop that comparison as the segue here. Because now, Mo, you're not fighting right now. So, just like myself, just like Luke, you get to the point that brought you out of your darkest days. Now is not a big part of your daily life. Talk about life after fighting and how you dealt with kind of getting your identity kind of taken from you and what you're doing now.
I think now it's, my last one, like I said, is June 2022 was, I always kind of told myself, I go out as a winner, and I did. I won 3 matches that day. I took first place, and I was comfortable walking away. Injuries do pile up. I have some back issues. I have some other minor issues with knees, things like that, where I was okay walking away because I went out with the win. But my job keeps me really busy. My girlfriend, Lindsay, is amazing, and I love doing stuff with her. We travel, things like that, where I'm still busy. I still work out, sports and things like that, watching it. You just kind of, it's harder for me right now because I miss it so much. And I do miss it. But my life itself keeps me pretty busy. But the last 6 months, stress has been coming back a little bit due to work and some other things. I have some family issues that was as a young kid that sometimes pop in my head, where fighting kind of always kept me, not thinking about it as much. And when I did, it was me of, oh, I'm going to prove everyone wrong, or I'm going to win today. So I don't think about that stuff. So it's a challenge. I wake up every morning going, today might be a little harder day because I don't have the fight, I don't grapple as much, or I don't train, things like that. But every day, it's challenging now for the last year, not having that, I'm going to be honest. But you just keep, I don't know how to say it is, you give reasons why everything's going to be okay that day, and I do have a lot of great things in my life. So, but it's just, some stuff that, eats at me, as a younger kid or through the years that still kind of creep up a little bit. I got demons in my, that, I think about a lot, and you just kind of try to stay positive and, move forward.
Do you find yourself, and I know you mentioned your girlfriend, obviously, and you mentioned your buddies a couple different times. Do you find yourself leaning on your support group a lot during these times?
No, I don't rely, I don't wait on anything. I always kind of take myself and go, I put everything here, in myself going, what can I do to be better? What can I do to support people? Sometimes I might need it a little bit, but not much. I mean, all my close friends and, Lindsay, they take care of me in ways they'll never understand. They do. But no, I always kind of point everything on me. I'm very of the type of person where it's like, I have to make these changes or I have to do that. I don't want anyone ever think I need them so much that I can't go on. So I always kind of take everything to myself and go, what can you do to be better today?
Like a lot of us do. It's self-auditing of what we're doing to try to get better, to pivot on certain things. But you know damn well that when you're struggling, your friends, your family that have invested time to know you, they know when things are off. That's what they do. Luke, what do you got?
No, 100%. I think me and Pat, you talked about this this week together about some stuff that I've been struggling with, and I told you I didn't really want to pawn it off on anybody else. So I wanted to try and take care of it myself, and that may not be the best path forward. It may be. I don't know, but I think I understand where you're coming from, Mo, of it's tough to feel like you're being a burden to somebody else, even though you know they want to help. So I think that can be a tough part for people to get over, and it's something that's hard for me to get over as well.
Yeah, I hold a lot of things in, and then when they come out, it's not always the best, and sometimes alcohol or something brings that out a little bit, So sometimes lately it's been really good if I have some things I do talk about it a little bit more, at least getting it off your chest, like Pat said. People know. So sometimes, we'll be out and I'll mention something about work or life or anything with, Lindsay, whatever. And it's nice. And I go, all right, I feel a little bit better today, So sometimes just talking, even if it's a little snippet, just bring it up to get it off your chest. Because if you keep it, sometimes it's never, from experience, nothing good ever happens if you bottle things up. And I'm very good at that as well. So.
Yeah. And we're three athletes talking about it, right? Like when you make that adjustment and you get that identity taken away, you start to look for other outlets. And I hate to say it, and it's not like a gender thing, but guys usually go to a couple different things. They go to sports gambling, they go to drinking, and they go to women, in my experience. And that's not a knock on our gender, but we look for other ways to be competitive. It's just how we kind of do things. So my point I'm trying to make is, if you find yourself kind of going to those vices, double down somewhere else, double down on your people, double down on your job if you have to at times, your relationships, things that carry more weight, more value. That'd be my message today. Luke, anything on that?
No, 100%. I love that. And we're hitting about the 30 minute mark here. And I want to get to it. I want to know what Mo's keep going moment is, man. That's something that I've been wondering about this whole time. So Mo, give us your keep going moment, dude.
This was a little hard one because, like I said, but I have one. But I always say my losses are always going to be the difficult part because that's when I want to be better. But I kind of touched on this earlier. In 2022, I went in a tournament in November, and I lost 2 matches in a row. And I looked awful. I felt awful. Like I said, I went home and cried. But I remember, I got a couple days went by, and I thought it was it. I did. And I go to myself, it was kind of like the Rocky IV when he's in the Porsche driving. I remember driving into work, and I'm thinking about everything that I went through my whole life, everything. I mean, it was crazy, bad, good, whatever. And I remember looking up, and I'm driving going, no way. We're going to do this one more time. And I'm going to freaking win. And I did, but I go, I'm going to work harder. I get in the gym. I'm going to keep pushing myself, keep going. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I'll never doubt. If I do lose, I'm not going to give myself excuses. It's not going to be because I was, I didn't train hard or injuries or whatever. I'm going to do everything I can. If I walked away in my next tournament and I lose, but at least I know I put everything on that mat. I went in, I went 3-0, and these guys were in their 20s. I was over 40, and it felt great. And I think, it kind of shows that no matter how hard it is, or, I've had 3 losses in a row, 2 losses, 1, I've won, 6 in a row. I mean, I've been through so many grappling things where losses, wins, whatever it is. I mean, people will come up to you and go, they don't mean anything by it, but they'll just be like, why do you keep doing this? You're taking second and third. It's like, you have no clue what you're talking about. I understand, but it's hard because it eats at you, and I never want anyone to go, you see, friends or people talk on a UFC with a UFC fighter loses. Oh, that guy stinks. Well, if I lost 2 matches in a row just in a grappling tournament, what are those people thinking about me? So I think at that time I just said, I'm going to push through it and I'm going to win. So I think that was probably my keep going moment. And it was kind of another chapter of my life going, I got one more in me at that time. And there's nothing you're going to do to take that away from me.
100%.
Mo, I love that completely. I gotta ask you a couple more questions, but the one I want to touch on: would you change anything?
Not from now when I first walked in that LA boxing until now. No, never, because I learned so much from it all, and they're all learning experiences. If I didn't lose or something didn't happen, I don't think I would be where I'm at today, because I needed to push, and I pushed myself in work in other ways, even, with my relationship. I try to, be the best I can be. I know I'm a pain in the rear sometimes, but, you try to get better. I think from when I walked in there, no, but from, however, 4 years old to about 27, I would change a lot of things. I was very talented growing up as a kid, but I never like lifted weights in high school. I don't have a really good relationship with my family. You growing up, you just kind of like, I think I just, friends, and you didn't know that much growing up. So I didn't try hard. High school, I didn't live. I just left talent go. I'd have one good game, three bad ones, things like that. And then in my 20s, drinking, being rude, bar fights, those. But, you got to look at it too, as, like I just said, I probably learned from a lot too. So, but I wish I was a better person. I wish I tried harder. I wish I gave more of an effort, even in school, sports, things like that. I that's probably my, you want to say any kind of regrets, or, want to look at, is my younger days, because I'm a little bit smarter, if you want to say that. But I would you'd go back and go, man, I wish I would have tried harder, or I wish I would have done this, or listened to this person, or those are the type of things. But I think everyone's that way. There's a movie called Mr. Destiny. If one thing in your life changed, you changed everything else. Could you go back and change that? And it'd be a yes or no. That's a tough one, because I love where my life is at today. I love where my life went. I love everything about it. So, but you asked me 15 years ago, I hated my life. And that's the crazy part of it. I didn't know where I was going to be, where I was going to go, and if I wanted to be here anymore. It was a lot of weird thoughts back then. But today, if something happened to me today, like tomorrow, I always say, I lived the best life, and I did it, everything I wanted to do, and it's amazing.
I think that's one thing.
Hey, that's the power of the journey. That's the power of the journey. Go ahead, Luke.
100%. That's something that I think about all the time, is that, I had a 2.4 in high school. Was not trying at all. I thought soccer was the end all be all, blah, blah, blah. I echo the same sentiment, man. I wish I would have gave a crap. It wasn't that I was a bad kid at school. All of my teachers liked me and stuff. It's probably the only reason I had a 2.4 instead of a 1.8 is that they actually. So I had that going for me, but that was about it. No, 100%. I wish. I talked to a lot of people that are our age, and they wish they would have tried harder in high school. So if there's any student athletes out there listening today, academics are a big part of it too. And really, those teachers are preparing a lesson for you every day. Take it seriously. And they're trying to teach you something, not just about their subject, but about life as well. Okay. So we're closing in here. And this is something that Pat always likes to ask, if there's one thing that you want to touch on today that you didn't get a chance to already, what would you tell our listeners?
I guess the best thing ever, best thing I can always say is, don't ever give up. That was one of the strongest things I can ever, people ask me some things in life, or, younger people, my nephew and stuff like that, is just never give up. There's always, I brought this up maybe earlier, is you're going to have your dark days. You're going to have your losses. You're going to have you're going to throw an interception. You're going to strike out. Things of that nature are going to happen to your day. You might have lost the game for your team or whatever, but don't ever give up. Come back the next day, work harder. I mean, trust me, if you work hard enough and you push through it all, you're going to see success, and you just stay positive, and always just keep moving forward, keep pushing, and don't give up. And I think that's the greatest, advice I can give someone, is because I was going to give up many a times in my life. Trust me, many. I mean, there's still today, there's times where I'm going, can I keep going on? Or, maybe this is it, but I don't, and then I go, think positive, keep moving. What can I do to be better today? Like you said, with the 1%, there's always a way to be nicer to somebody, push someone else, maybe coach or things like that, where you can help other people as well. Cause I love helping other people get ready for, training and tournaments and things like that. Coaching for me down the road, it was always an option as well. So don't give up. I would say that is my best advice for anyone, because I use that for myself.
Absolutely.
Mo, I love it, man. Mo, I love it, man. I got you on this one, Luke. I think growth comes in all shapes and sizes, right? I think it's one of those things where you don't know if it's going to be you or the next guy, the next girl. So I think that's powerful. Last thing, and I'll wrap us up, Mo. And I didn't know if I wanted to go here, but I'm going to go here for a little bit. I know you've had some stuff go on in your family life. You brought that up already. You've had some situations, some tragedies, some triumphs as well. If you had to say one thing to your younger self, what would you tell Jason Mo?
Don't take anything for granted. I had, as a younger kid, I was abused as a younger kid with my father. It was really young, so I only have like certain aspects I remember, like 3 or 4 images. If I ever saw him, I wouldn't even know who he is, but I do remember the bad things that happened to me. And then, my mom wasn't there. She, left. She left at that time and left me there during that moment. But then me and her got close again through my younger days. But I felt like, and I don't talk to her today. We stopped talking in 2012. But I think during that time, maybe I should have taken a little more stuff for granted, spending time with her. She's had some issues in her life and myself, but, just, if you can, don't ever don't take anything for granted, So, I never want anyone to ever feel sorry for my life or anything. I've always told people I lived a good life because I had a couple great stepdads. They always took care of me. I lived a weird life. I always say it was weird. But I lived a really good life as well. So, but just don't take it for granted. Take everything you can, smile, and enjoy the moment. I think people forget that, as they're always worried about what's going to happen in a month from now or a week from now. Enjoy that day and enjoy that moment, because you'll never get it again with friends, girlfriends, family, whatever it is.
I think, wow. Okay, so I think we have a choice, right? We have a choice to either be a victim of circumstance, become someone's survival guide. We have the chance to be the story that people talk about and go, did you hear Mo's story on that podcast? I'm having some of this stuff happen. And I thought there was no way I was getting through it. So I'm getting a little bit choked up. I think at this point in time, for our listeners, there is a way to keep moving forward and lift others while you go along. And I think there's a true testament of the man in the beard sitting across from me right now on Zoom. I'm extremely touched and inspired by your story. And after hearing all your triumph and all the good stuff, after all the shit that went on, I love you, man. And I'm proud of you.
I love you. Love you too, brother. No, it's like I always tell you, if I can ever help anybody, is don't ever, I don't want to say I lived a bad life or a horrible life. I never want to say that, because I lived I still do, and I did. It was weird. And I would just say the weirdness made me probably who I am today. So anything that goes bad, you can move forward. I feel like, there's probably some other things in my life right now that's really hard on, when I was younger, but I'll find a way to make it a positive and just keep, let's go, and that's just who I am. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't, done my MMA or football career, whatever it was, without challenges. There is challenges. Life is hard. We all know that. You just got to, you have to be the best version of yourself to succeed or want to succeed or whatever that may be.
Luke said it earlier. You owe you, man. You owe you at the end of the day. This has been, we could do this all day. We've done it.
Yeah.
We do this all day, and I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah.
Just know that you're impacting a lot of listeners today. And for whatever reason, God or the universe is like, for the last 20 minutes here, my service has been spot on because we know we're making some impact today. And I love you, brother.
Love you too, man.
Always. Before we wrap up, and Luke knows this, I've been trying to do a better job of this. You came on here. You helped promote the pod all week. You shared your story. And a stigma of fighters that it's tough to share this kind of stuff. So I applaud you and commend you for that. How can we help you as a podcast? How can we help you in general as a person?
I just say keep doing what you're doing. I mean, you guys are killing it. I've been listening. I've been listening since day one. And I felt like where you guys started, you guys started out great, but you're getting better. And the stories, I love everything that, you have coaches, athletes, college, I mean, everybody in this industry, I think it's just amazing. I just say, keep going and, keep, changing the game, but keep changing it in a great way that you guys are doing, and I think it's amazing of that.
KG team's on your side. If you ever decide to get back in the ring, you let us know. We're going to be your biggest promoters. We got you.
I was going to come on here today and tell you, talking a little bit here. I'm going to say this today, and I will back this up. I will do a tournament in 2024. I will. So I just don't know when, but it will happen in 2024. I promise you that. I'm not. I got something to prove still, and I think this last week has built me. I still got a little left in the basement. I know I do. So.
Oh man, look at that. We got this. We got a live announcement on the pod. I can't wait to share that with our listeners. Just know that I'll be there. I'll be there in the stands. I don't care if you fight in Dubai or if you fight in Chicago. I'll be there. So if you need a sponsor, we're your guys, and Jackie's your girl. So we got you.
Awesome. I already told you. I'm putting the podcast on the back of my shorts. I already got it. It's going to be covered. Don't worry.
We're going on the bum. Come on.
You're going on the bum.
I would be honored, man. And we always thought we'd sponsor an athlete, and I'd love for you to be our first, man. I love you, and I appreciate you. And I know we can do this all day. Luke, I love you, brother. Jason Moe, you are
Thank you guys.
You are a servant leader. You are a fantastic human being. And without all else, keep going, guys. Love you guys.
Keep going.
Nice to meet you, Mo.
You too, brother.